Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Murphy's Mortuary, the last episode of the year. And then, if I do one tomorrow, it'll be the first episode of the new year. And yeah, Happy New Year's out there to everybody. Hope everybody's having a fun time. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a whole lot of people during the stream, which is understandable because there's literally thousands of other streams going on right now. And plus, people got family to be with and everything. That's understandable. And, I hung out with my family today. We chilled, had some tacos, and watched some movies, and it was a fun time. So, hope everybody out there is having a great New Year's Eve. Hope you guys are having fun. Not too much fun. Don't get too drunk out there, guys. But, have fun nevertheless. But yeah, it's been a crazy year, a crazy fast year. In my opinion, this year has went by way too fast. And we're kind of going to look back at this year and look back in it, or rather look back at it from the point of view of talking about the movies that came out this past year. And I don't get a chance to really do these kind of videos or streams very often. I know the last couple of years, I don't even know if I did any videos to talk about my favorite movies of the year. So this is pretty cool that we're getting back into it again, and I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite films of the year. Now, I do want to mention something. I did exclude horror films from this list because I do have a separate stream that I want to do for that, which I'm hoping I can get to tomorrow. And I'm hoping that I can get to that and make a separate sort of stream and do the horror films on that stream and then keep the regular movies on this stream so we can kind of separate it and keep everything organized. Because if I do horror and regular films, there's going to be a lot of movies left out. And so I figured I would just do the top 10 films and then top 10 horror films tomorrow. Colton's here. What's up, Colton? How you doing, man? I hope everything is going well. But yeah, today's discussion is going to be top 10 best films of the year. Typically, whenever I do these top 10 lists, for me, I don't have them ranked in a specific way. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll get on here and I'll do a ranking video and I'll have them all in order. This is just my top 10 favorite films of the year. Don't really know if I have a favorite picked out of all of these. So these are all really good movies that I really enjoyed. So these are definitely films that I think are some of the better, more highlights of the year. And it was easier to make this list than it was to make the horror film list, because horror this year was not that good, in my opinion. So this one was definitely a lot more straightforward and easy. And I think the number 10 slot you could argue is a horror movie, but I think it strays away from a horror movie to where I consider it more of like a dark drama. This is the number 10. The first pick is going to be definitely the most controversial one. And so is number 5, because those are, you can say those are horror films. But in my opinion, number 10 isn't really a horror movie. It's got horror elements, but I wouldn't say it's a capital H horror movie. That's good, Colin. Yeah, I'm doing good. Had some food, was watching some movies and YouTube videos and stuff, and I decided, I had this stream planned a minute ago, like last weekend, and I didn't get around to it. And so I was like, you know what? It's still 2023. I haven't gotten to it yet. I might as well get to this. And if I have time tomorrow, I'll do the horror film stream. But yeah, much better year for film in general. There was a lot of big movies that came out this year, and it was definitely a lot more. It was a year for film that I liked other genres more than the horror genre. There was some good stuff in there. There's going to be a top 10 list. I'm going to figure out some way to make it work. But it was definitely a lot. It's definitely one of those years where the other film genres kind of got the edge over the horror genre. But to get into this movie list, number 10 is Beau is Afraid, directed by Ari Aster. Watched this with some friends, and I thought this was a really well made movie. Ari Aster for me is very kind of hit and miss because while I love Hereditary, I like Midsommar, but I don't love Midsommar like a lot of people do. I find Midsommar to be decent and fairly good, but I do think Midsommar is easily one of the most overrated films of the past like 10 years. And that's coming from the guy that I love Hereditary. I think Hereditary is a masterpiece. So for me to not like Midsommar is even shocking to me. However, I do think Beau is Afraid was a much better comeback for Ari Aster, and I think he really did a great job with. He's been given this budget. Here's the money to really do whatever you want. He's based off of a short he made way back in the day, not too long ago, but he made it years ago. And so basically, this is him doing a passion project. And honestly, this movie didn't do very well. It was one of the biggest flops of the year. And I really do think A24 unfortunately dropped the ball with this movie because this was marketed pretty badly. I mean, for the budget this movie had, it should have been the next Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I remember that movie being everywhere. I mean, just ads on YouTube, ads just on TV, ads on just whatever you were watching. It had ads everywhere. I knew about that movie just all the time. It was talked about. I knew about it constantly. And so it's shocking to me that A24, when approaching Beau is Afraid, knowing that Ari Aster gave them two very big hits, and with this movie, I'm surprised that they didn't try to basically give him more of good marketing and more of trying to get this movie out there, because this movie was only in theaters for a very, very small period of time. I remember it being in theaters for maybe a week or two. Maybe I'm being drastic with that, but I really don't remember this movie that much being in theaters and stuff. I really don't. I remember that this film sort of got announced, remember seeing the trailers, was very interested in it. And then when it finally released, it was in theaters for a very, very short amount of time. It was so short amount of time that I didn't even get a chance to go and see the movie in the theater, which really bummed me out. And then I found out that it bombed. And I really do think A24 dropped the ball with the advertising, with getting the movie out there. I don't know why they did. I mean, this is Ari Aster. This is a guy who has a track record of having hits, having success. Midsommar was a big hit. Hereditary is a big hit. So the fact that they didn't give him his full vision of the movie, which I would have liked to see a 4-hour version. I know some people look at this movie and they go, 4 hours? That's ridiculous. Low key, with this kind of story, I wouldn't mind seeing a 4-hour cut. This movie is like over 3 hours, I think. So they put a lot of the movie in there. They put as much in there as possible, but they did have a lot of like just restrictions and everything and what they could do. They had a lot of just not Ari Aster really had stuff against him with this movie, and I really don't know why. Again, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if the studio said this is too long, this is too abstract, this is too weird, and I don't know what happened. Which is usually not this case with A24 is one of those studios that typically lets the artist do what he wants to do. He or she lets them do what they want to do, and typically gives them the freedom to make the project however they want to make it and everything. So I'm really, really confused on why this movie bombed the way it did. And the advertisements, too, also want to mention, didn't sell the movie very well. You watch the trailers for Beau is Afraid, you're watching the ads, it doesn't tell you what this movie is about. And it doesn't really give you anything to hook on to as far as like, okay, if I'm going to go and watch this movie, this is the one thing I'm expecting. Versus like, if it's a Marvel movie, they'll give you a little taste of stuff. Sometimes they'll spoil the whole damn movie. I've seen that too. But they'll give you a good idea of what you're going to go see. Action, explosions, whatever, da da da. Slasher, same thing. Other horror movies, same thing. They give you a little taste. Beau is Afraid's marketing even I was like, I don't know where this movie's going. I don't know what the plot is. So it was keeping people in the dark, basically. But I do love the movie. The movie is very well made. It's extremely well shot. It's a big, grand story. So many different just areas and locations. The play sequence is like one of my favorite sequences from film, where he just going through and he's seeing like him older with sons and the destiny of this basically this story that Bo has kind of put himself into, and just a lot of the bizarre events. It's such a weird world. I think Ari Esther does a great job at building this uncomfortable tone to his movies, and really this movie let him shine and letting him do whatever he wanted, and really not worrying about how clear the narrative is, or not worrying about how much everything makes sense or not. It was really just, hey, here's your movie, and go do what you want. Which is why I'm so confused that it didn't get released with that kind of mindset. Where, hey, you know, let's put it out there, let's get it out there. It's a big budget A24 movie, and they just, I don't know, something obviously happened to where this got affected by that. But again, people are going to say it's a horror movie. I really don't consider it a horror movie, even though it is uncomfortable, it is dark, it is anxiety filled. I don't consider it a horror movie. I really don't. I consider it a dark fantasy drama with a touch, maybe a little pinch of horror in there. But to me, there's not enough horror in there for me to go top 10 horror movies. So instead of put on the horror movie list, I put it on my top 10 just in general films list from this year. I was really impressed with it. The runtime didn't bother me at all. I loved every minute of it. The interesting camera work in the world, the universe that we've just got built in this movie. It was a very, very awesome watch, and I'm just sad that I didn't get to see it in theaters. And this is one of those movies where they probably won't ever re-release it in theaters. So it's like one of those things where if you missed it, you missed it. And unfortunately, I missed the train. I missed the movie, so that sucks. But I did see it at home. I own it now on Blu-ray, and it's cool to have it. It's a really, really good movie. But number 9 on the list is a little bit of a different one. We go from number 10, which is Ari Esther, dark, really grim, really depressing, really just uncomfortable, to number 9, which is Elemental, which I would probably say is my favorite animated movie of the year. Even though there is one other one on here, I feel like this one is, well, there's two more on here. I don't know. It's hard to pick. It is between this one and number 4, which we'll get to that when we get to it. But Elemental was a great animated movie. It's Pixar, Disney. I seen the trailers for it, and this is a time period where, like earlier on in the year, I developed this sort of ritual I do where I'll pick a random Sunday that I'm not doing anything, and I go out and I watch movies solo, just kind of get away from the world, get away from all the craziness, the stress, and just get away from everything. And so I just go out and I pick 2 movies, or I pick a movie, and I pick a Sunday and I just go and watch a movie in the theater. And that's kind of a ritual I did throughout the entire year. So not all the time, but occasionally I'll just go on a Sunday and go watch a movie. But yeah, this is one of those ones that really surprised me. I think I seen this one. I'm not sure if I seen anything else in the same day, but this was a good theater experience. It's a lot of fun. The story is great. The animation is wonderful. I love the idea of building this entire world of elements, fire, water, just all the different things you get in this movie. It's a very cool world. It's funny. It's not trying to have cringe humor or awful stuff. It's really just a heartwarming, well told story, and the acting's great, and the characters. I loved this movie. It was a lot of fun. It was a good theater experience, and it was a fun time, and I really, really loved Elemental. It was a wonderful film. But number 8 is Sorry about that. Yeah, I had to go do something real quick. But yeah, like I said, number 9, Elemental. Very well made movie, very fun, very entertaining, and just I really really enjoyed this film. Number 8 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, which is again another animated movie from the year. This was probably my favorite theater experience of the year, and it is just because of how fun it was. Oh, we got Alex Super here. What's up, man? Pretty much every year, my experience with seeing animated movies in theaters is very slim. I'm the same way, man. I don't really go out and see a lot of them. Most of them don't look interesting to me. So, and there's been a dip where I think Pixar and DreamWorks just doesn't look that good anymore. However, I did see it didn't make the list at all, but I seen Migration. It's pretty good. It's pretty decent. Pretty much every year. Oh, sorry, that's the same comment. But yeah, um, this one was my favorite theater experience though, and I love the differences in this movie. They changed a lot of stuff around. Of course, Seth Rogen was heavily involved with this movie, and I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on the animation style. I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on where they took it and the humor and everything. And while I can't say that everything works in this movie, I do think that a lot of things work. And a lot of things work to the point to where I think it's even better than the third and second live action movies. I think it's up there at the first movie, neck and neck. Because even though I love the first movie, rewatching it, even that's not perfect. I don't know if they've really gotten it 100% down yet with these movies, but the first one and this one are neck and neck. This is up there as far as just an extremely entertaining film that knows that we all know about Ninja Turtles. We all know about the story, the origin. We all know about the Shredder. We all know about Crane. And so it said, well, instead of doing the obvious stuff, instead of doing the obvious villains, the obvious steps to building this world in this movie, let's do something different. Let's take a different approach. Let's have Superfly as the main villain, and let's have a whole new cast of characters added to this movie. And I really liked that. I really did. I really liked that. I loved the idea of the mutant squad of just all these different mutants, and you do have Bebop and Rocksteady in there, and they actually don't make them villains for the whole time, which I thought was very interesting. I thought that was interesting and different, and the humor, while it doesn't always work, I honestly thought Michelangelo's humor. I don't think I laughed once at Michelangelo, which to me is a major problem. Like if I'm not laughing at Michelangelo, then we've got that's got to change because he's the most comedic turtle of the bunch. So some of the humor I really didn't laugh at all the time. The only one I saw was Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, which was very good. I really enjoyed that one. I seen that one too. Actually, surprisingly, didn't make the list. However, I did like it. I didn't love it as much as other people did. Yeah, Cross. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Happy New Year. Hope you guys are all having fun out there. But yeah, I enjoyed that movie too. It didn't make the list though, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, Mutant Mayhem. It was a fun time. It was really enjoyable. It was a great theater experience. Just the whole atmosphere of the theater and watching it and everybody laughing and enjoying it is easily one of the best theater experiences I've had, which is really bizarre that this movie had that, you know. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna pick it up on Blu-ray, maybe 4K. Nah, maybe Blu-ray. I think I'll get it on Blu-ray because it'd be a little bit cheaper. But yeah, it's definitely Blu-ray purchase worthy. I think there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. And I think it works on a lot of levels. I don't think it works on every level. There's a lot of gross out humor in the movie. There's a lot of humor that doesn't fit the movie. Michelangelo is not funny at all. There is some weird animation at points. However, I did like the movie overall a lot to where it ended up being on the list. So that's how much I really enjoyed this movie. I might not have seen any of the films this year, or maybe just a few. I would say this is definitely the year where I've been watching the most movies from. Like every other year, like let's say 2018. 2018, I don't even remember what I seen from that year. I know I seen Infinity War, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what all I seen from 2018. But like this year, I've went back and I've looked at. I'm like, wow, I've seen a lot of movies this year. But yeah, number 8 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Coming in number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 ended up being the best Marvel movie of the year, one of the better Marvel movies in a long time, and it didn't disappoint. I was going into this movie expecting having a fun time and being entertained, and it gave me that and more. And I think it's got a great arc for Rocket. His story, seeing the origin, it was low key heartbreaking. It was very emotional. It was heartbreaking. And um, number 10, number 9, Oscar Super. Number 10 was Beau is Afraid, and number 9 was Elemental from Disney Pixar. But yeah, this movie was very extremely well directed by James Gunn. I know he went through just an insane amount of stuff making this movie. There was a minute where he got removed from the project, and they weren't sure if like he was going to be able to make this movie, but somehow, some way, ended up pulling this movie off. And I know this is sort of his swan song for Guardians of the Galaxy and sort of his swan song for Marvel, because now he's a big deal head of DC, and he's going to be in charge of the creative process and that whole universe, which I don't know how to feel about it, because the announcements he's made so far, I'm sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of a we'll see. But I love Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one is great. The second one is my favorite. This one is my second favorite. The video game is wonderful. Love the video game. And like I said, it's just with the volume 3, after Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 and seeing where Marvel was going, in this past year, and after all of the swing and misses that Marvel did, I was really scared for this movie because I was like, oh my God, the Marvel movie's been so bad lately, Yeah, man, I love Beau is Afraid. Yeah, it was great. Definitely made the list. Oh, hey, Kelly, how you doing? Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Fear. But yeah, it's funny, it's entertaining, but it's also very emotional. It's hard to decide whether this or the second one is the most emotional movies. This one has a lot of elements to it that are very deep, and it just shows that, and it just shows that with Marvel, you can still do stories that are emotional, that have humanity to them, that have just a struggle. Just you can, because Marvel movies don't really go for that anymore, man. They just go for the big explosions and effects, and the effects suck. So in this movie, the effects are good. They pulled it off, and it looks great. New ideas for the villain, which I think is called it's not the Collector. That's the other guy. Is it the Creator? Maybe it's the Collector. I don't remember the guy's name, but it can't be the Collector, can it? Because the other guy was the Collector. Benicio del Toro, wasn't he the Collector? But yeah, cool villain. Thought he was pretty decent. Rocket has some good moments. Gamora has some good moments, and Nebula has some good moments, which I thought was very surprising. Actually, Nebula stole the movie. It was Nebula's movie. I mean, that was a movie where they let her shine through, and her acting was great. The actress did a great job, and I want to see a Gamora solo movie. I do. This character is so likable and so well developed, and it's such a good character that I want to see a solo Nebula movie. It'd be so cool if they did that. But no, they're doing an Agatha solo show that nobody asked for. Like Agatha, that lame villain from WandaVision, really? Agatha. It's like, what the fuck? Why is Agatha getting her own show? Nobody gives a fuck about Agatha. But yeah, Guardians 3 works in a lot of ways. It's funny, emotional, and it's a good send-off for James Gunn with the Marvel Universe. And it ends with a way that I kind of want to see more Guardians movies, whether it's James Gunn involved or not. I want to see more future stuff, and I can't wait to see what they pull off with the rest of these movies. And it just shows the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is like one of the best trilogies out there because they're all three great. Yeah, number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 6 made the list kind of barely. Kind of barely. I wasn't sure if I was going to put this movie on the list because I didn't love it as much as everybody else did. What everybody else was talking about, I thought the complete opposite with. Where I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. I enjoyed the movie. It was a good movie. It was very well made. It was a good movie. It was well shot, well directed, well acted, well planned, and well flowed and everything. It is technically a good movie. However, Oppenheimer is at number 6. And I know a lot of people said that this movie was a masterpiece, one of Nolan's best movies. And I just thought it was a good movie, but it really didn't do much else for me. As far as like, I thought, okay, number one, Cillian Murphy is one of my favorite actors of all time. It was cool to see him finally get his own movie where he's the lead. It's his show, it's all on his shoulders. It's 3 hours of him playing Oppenheimer and him getting to act and do his own thing. He's been leads before. He's a lead in Peaky Blinders. He's been a lead character in all kinds of movies. But this is like, okay, here is Cillian Murphy's epic, where he carries the show. There's supporting cast, but he's the one the focus is on. And he's my favorite part of the movie. He's my favorite part of the movie. His acting's incredible. He is Oppenheimer. I thought he did incredible as Oppenheimer. And I hope he gets all the awards and Oscars and everything. I think he did amazing. He's definitely my favorite part. Number 2, it's very well directed, very well shot. The costume design looks great. The time period looks it's captured very, very well. Number 3, the movie's not boring. The movie, for as much talking as in the movie, and as much as I can kind of get lost in what they're saying, there's a bunch of sciencey stuff, and I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but it flows well. In the beginning, I was saying it was boring. The more I thought about it, it did flow very well. It wasn't boring at all. For a 3-hour movie, over 3-hour movie, it wasn't boring. The shots of you're seeing these particles explode and you're seeing what the inside of the bomb would look like. That was all cool. The build up to the bomb being dropped, the test, is a fantastic build up. And I feel like that's why it disappointed. Is you have this build up, you have a 3-hour movie, 3 hours of Oppenheimer going through all this stuff. 3 hours of them talking about the bomb, where we're going to drop it. If we drop it, will people die? Will the world explode? Will this happen? Will this happen? The suspense, the drama, build and build and build. They drop the bomb, and just a little poof, and a little flash, and that's it. That's 3 hours of build, with poof, and that's it. And I know a lot of people, I don't understand where people were coming from with that, where they're like, oh my God, the explosion's a master. It's wonderful. It's one of the best cinematic explosions ever. It's so cinematic. It's a masterpiece. I'm like, dude, it's a little poof. It's literally it. And look, the viewers dropped, so I know it pissed people off. It's a little poof and a little flash, and that's it. Now, yes, I know people are saying, well, the build of the movie isn't all about wow. Alice Super. Oppenheimer is simultaneously. I can't say that word right now. I'm just fucking it up. But it's a good movie, but my least favorite from Nolan so far. Wow, even less than Dark Knight Rises? That's surprising. But during the last month, I finally got to watch Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time. Nice, man. What'd you think? I'm the wrong guy, Alice Super, to come to and talk about Lord of the Rings. If you love Lord of the Rings, just don't ask me my opinions, because I don't want to be the world shatterer over here and be like, no, I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings. If you love it, great. More power to everybody else. I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings at all. I'll give you this, Alice Super. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'll give you that. Lord of the Rings, the first one, great one. Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, decent. The rest, debatable. Wow, you're actually a pretty big fan of Dark Knight Rises. There's a lot of elements I like about it. That's just surprising me because a lot of people put that one down there. They put Dark Knight Rises as the least favorite, but that's interesting. I don't hate Dark Knight Rises as much as everybody else does, but yeah, that's surprising, man. That's interesting. But yeah, Oppenheimer, the build up, and really with the Oppenheimer character, that is the best part of the movie. Is Cillian Murphy? Is that watching him go through the stresses and the pressure on his shoulders of him being the guy behind this, and what's left, and the bomb dropping in Japan, and him having to deal with like all the after effects of it, like him, the guilt, the depression of it. And yeah, there is some decent scenes. There really is some decent scenes. But I thought like the build up to the bomb going off, and then like the build up to the rest of the story, it kind of went nowhere after that. And so I feel like it definitely was lacking a lot of departments. And I don't know if I would call it a masterpiece, but I did enjoy Oppenheimer. Obviously, I enjoyed it enough to where it made it on the list. So number 6 is Oppenheimer. I like them. I don't have the world's best movies, but they're fun. My favorite was Return of the King. Yeah, I didn't see that one yet. I seen Two Towers, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, this movie's long and boring. I mean, it has a good ending. It has a great battle in the rain and everything. That was great. Yeah, I'm definitely the wrong guy to come to about Star. Ironically, I was gonna say I like Star Wars a bit better. It's more my cup of tea. That's why I said Star Wars instead of Lord of the Rings. But Lord of the Rings, not really for me, man. Not really for me. But I'm glad you liked them though. I'm glad you checked them out. I still have to check out the third Lord of the Rings movie and the 2 last Hobbit movies. I didn't see those yet. But number 5 is Inside. Inside from this year. There's like 3 other movies called Inside, so it's a little bit confusing. But this is the film with William Dafoe starring in it. It's a thriller. Again, this is the one that I mentioned earlier where you can kind of say, oh, it's a horror movie. I'm like, it's more of a thriller. Don't know if it's a horror movie. It's more of a thriller. But this is a very simple movie. Got Willem Dafoe, one of my favorite actors, locked in this fancy house, this fancy flat. And he has to try to get out. There's extra security everywhere where he can't break the windows. He can't make a noise to alert any of the neighbors. He's just spent the whole movie trying to figure out how to escape this flat. And he's losing his mind, and he's monologuing, and he's creating really fucked up art. And you're just seeing just the gradual decay of his sanity. And it's very, very, very well made. This is definitely like number 5 is definitely a highlight of the year for me. I love this movie. I love the trailer. When the trailer dropped, I was so down to see this movie. And it does suck because it was in theaters for like maybe a week or two, like Beau was afraid. It didn't really get put in theaters that long. And it was hard to find it. There was only like one theater near me that played it. But yeah, I mean, it's again just Willem Dafoe, one man show. Love Willem Dafoe, did a great job. And I thought just the design of the flat, the direction of it, the cinematography, and just the tension that builds slowly. It's a slow build tension where it just, frame by frame, minute by minute, it gets more and more ramped. And I thought Inside was fabulous. It was a great movie. Number 4 is Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. From earlier on in the year. This was a film that was actually so good that I seen it 2 times in the theater. I seen it once, and then I seen it like a week or 2 after that in the theater again. And I love this movie. It captured the world perfectly to me. I love the original movie too from the 90s, but this one definitely, the animation style, everything about it fit. And I was a little leery about Chris Pratt playing Mario. I warmed up to him as the movie went along. It was a fun time. Was it an Oscar winner? Was it a masterpiece? Was it extremely well written? No, but it's a fun, entertaining movie, and that's basically all you need. You know, you don't need masterpieces for every movie. I remember some people doing reviews in this movie and being like, "Oh my god, the writing is trash." I'm like, "You're going into a Mario movie for good writing?" Like, okay. Or the direction and the camera work. I'm like, "It's an animated movie, guys. It's an animated movie. It's an animated Mario movie. Y'all chill." It was a lot of fun. It was funny, entertaining, the colorful world, the environments. I'm a huge fan of the games, so I recognize a lot of the Easter eggs and references and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun with Super Mario Brothers. Number three is an interesting one because this is a film that introduced me to this director, Wes Anderson. And right after this movie, I went and seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, and instantly became a fan of this director. That's Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. Uh, I really didn't know what to expect from this movie, as I've never watched a Wes Anderson movie before, and all I really gathered from the trailer was the cast. The cast was incredible. And I was like, okay, it takes place in this desert town and possibly taking place in the 50s. Okay, let's give it a shot. And it was definitely not a conventional movie. I remember sitting there being like, there's a lot of empty shots, a lot of quietness, a lot of low key stuff. It's a lot more low key than I thought it would be because it's the story. I thought it was going to be alien invasion homage type of movie, and there is aliens in the movie, but it's not like I was expecting War of the Worlds, where it's going to be this homage to the 50s, and it's like, no, it's way over here, man. It's way over in left field. It's totally different than that. John Steele's here, man. What's up, John? How you doing? Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. The fantastic cast, wonderful direction, the set design of the town that they're in, and even though it is very simplistic, it is very, I want to say, monotone, but that feels like it's a criticism, and it's really not. It's a very low key movie. It's all about just the bizarreness of this world. And after seeing Fantastic Mr. Fox, I can kind of see what Wes Anderson's style is: more deadpan humor, more straight deliveries, just with zero emotion sometimes. But it works. It works. It doesn't feel flat to me. It feels unique and different. And the humor is very just I want to say deadpan humor, just very just interesting, unique humor to this movie. Uh I really enjoyed it though. I thought it was a fun time. It was entertaining. It was different. It was unique. It was the first Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen. However, I did enjoy Fantastic Mr. Fox a bit more. But for a movie from this year, I thought it was definitely a highlight. It stood out, and I really enjoyed Asteroid City. Get back to the comments here. We got Alaska Super commenting, the Two Towers has the most flaws for sure. The trees needed at least half of their screen time cut since it bordered on blatant padding. But the character moments in battle make it solid overall. It had some good action scenes. Asteroid City is a similar case to Nolan's newest good film, but I think Wes has made way better. We recommend the Royal Tenenbaum and the Grand Budapest Hotel. Isle of the Dogs the most. Yeah, Isle of the Dogs and the Budapest Motel. That was definitely the ones where those are the ones that interest me the most. But yeah. Yeah, anyways, moving on to number two. Number two is The Iron Claw, which I seen in theaters, and I didn't get a chance to review the movie, although I had a chance to talk with some friends about it, and it is a good movie. It's a great movie. It's a highlight from this year as a film. It's extremely well acted, extremely well directed, extremely just well captured of the world, the environment of the late 70s through the late 80s of the wrestling world, seeing Ric Flair, seeing World Class Championship Wrestling, all the logos, the ring, the arenas, the wrestling gear, just the wrestling styles. It was very cool with all of that. There was some other flaws I had. I followed the Von Erich story and the Von Erich history very closely. So I feel like if you don't know the history of the Von Erichs, you'll like the movie. It's like Bohemian Rhapsody. I didn't know about Queen. I didn't follow Queen. I knew like 2 songs from Queen when I seen that movie, and Bohemian Rhapsody made me a fan of Queen. So the fans that seen that movie had different experience than I did because they know the story of Freddie Mercury, they know the history, and that movie is very fictional, very fictitious. It has a lot of scenes that are just sort of made for the movie, or events are sort of switched around here and there. So even though I love that movie, it's one of my favorite films. I know a lot of people don't really like it because it doesn't follow the history. I'm not gonna say that knowing the history of the Von Erichs ruins the movie, but it definitely hinders the film because they didn't tell the story at its full potential. However, it is a very well made movie. It is extremely well directed, extremely well shot, very well casted. Zac Efron easily is one of his best performances is in this movie. The rest of the cast, the guy that played David Von Erich and Mike Von Erich, and of course Carrie Von Erich and Fritz, the cast was wonderful. The music, a lot of 70s throwbacks in there. I love the music. It really does look like it was in the 70s. They did a great job at capturing that time period. Just certain way they handle certain scenes are very impactful, very emotional. Um, the brothers in the movie, you can buy that they all care about each other and that they were just one of the best wrestling factions of all time, and they really did a great job at capturing not only them as wrestlers but them as brothers as well. And there's just a few key scenes that are just very sad and emotional, and they're well acted, and it's one of those movies where it's very depressing and very beautiful. It's a good story, and I think as a film it works. Following the events, it's a poor adaptation, but as a film, it really works. So number 2 is The Iron Claw. I have a very mixed relationship with Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek gives a good performance if you look aside those hideous fake teeth. Yeah. I know a lot of people hate the wigs too in that movie. Somebody I was watching a review and they were like, "Yeah, the wigs suck." I'm like, they're not that bad. I mean, they're not great, but I've seen worse wigs in movies. You ever see Halloween 2? But number one, this is probably my favorite movie of the year. Again, I didn't have these all like ranked in order of least liked to most liked, but number 1 is probably going to be The Creator. I thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This is a wonderful film. This is a film that I'm so glad it got made because I think number 1, sci-fi films are hard to do nowadays. They're hard to do. I mean, how many sci-fi movies come out every year and people go, not very good. Gonna pass. No thank you. It's not good. But this one ended up creating a unique world, great story, just a design of everything. The idea of AI taking over and just the AI wearing people's faces and just this big open world, this landscape. It's being shot. I want to say it had to have been shot like over in Asia or something because it was just the locations of this area called New Asia. Just wonderful locations, wonderful, beautiful cinematography. It's extremely well directed. It's extremely well acted. It's extremely well written, and I loved it. I loved just how it gave a sense of new, while also I could see shades of Blade Runner in there, and maybe a little bit of cyberpunk in there. Just you could tell it maybe not those things, but it doesn't fully copy them. And yeah, the whole evil AI thing, we've heard that, AI, but that does it a little different. This does a little different where you think the AI are the villains, and then as for it changes from there. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's different, unique, original, well told. Love the music as well. I love the music. I love the cinematography, the direction. It's a great world, a great universe, and I definitely want to see more from this universe. Um, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed The Creator. That probably is my favorite movie of the year. No lie, it's very, very, very well made. I feel like sci-fi has become the most struggling genres next to westerns and musicals. I agree because it's been done so much. I mean, I didn't even realize how many sci-fi movies are out there. And I mean, even right now on my PlayStation, if I pull up these games that I'm playing, I've got two sci-fi horror games right here. I got Dead Space the remake and the Callisto Protocol. And you could argue that Apex Legends, which I also play Apex Legends. If any of y'all want to play, let me know. But yeah, like Apex Legends, very futuristic, very sci-fi. It's just such a overpopulated film genre because it's very popular. It's very popular to make everything sci-fi, and so it's hard to really get anything that's unique and different because there's been for so long, since the 70s and 60s and the 50s, sci-fi movies have been the thing, and it's very inspiring that movies like this can be this original and this different and be this surprising. And I actually had the same reaction with Event Horizon. I watched Event Horizon, was blown away by that movie of just how unique it was. But yeah, to go over the list one more time, I'm gonna read this comment real quick. My favorite movie of the year is probably Past Lives, but it was so emotionally traumatizing. I never want to see it again. Wow, what the fuck? Past Lives. What's that? I've never even Past Lives. Damn. Holy shit, that sounds crazy, man. What the fuck? Past Lives. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to check this one out. I've never heard of this one. Holy crap. But yeah, that's crazy, man. Wow. But I guess I could go over my list real quick. My top 10 favorite movies of the year, just go through it, recap. Number 10 is Beau is Afraid. Number 9 was Elemental. Number 8 was Mutant Mayhem, TMNT. Number 7 was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 6 was Oppenheimer. 5 was Inside. 4 was Super Mario Brothers. 3 was Asteroid City. 2 was The Iron Claw. And 1 was The Creator. So yeah, there it is, y'all. That is my top 10 favorite movies of the year. It was a good year for movies. I don't know if I could, when we get to the horror movie list, we're going to have a lot more difficulty ranking that stuff because for horror, it was a pretty lukewarm year for the genre. But for film overall, it was a pretty solid, good overall year for movies. And yeah, those are my top 10 favorites. But anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. Alston Super. We had Kelly join. We had John Steele here. Brian, Colton. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and supporting the stream and watching. I really appreciate you guys and all your support. Thank you guys so much. Have a good New Year's. Have a lot of fun and just hang out with family and yeah, have a great time. Have a great New Year's, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. But anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. The Explorer of Horror is out. Peace.